Whenever I browse through forums like Reddit, I would constantly see questions being asked like, should I learn VBA or is VBA worth it? And the short answer to that is yes. You should learn VBA, especially if you're working in an office job where you use Microsoft products all day long. VBA stands for Visual Basics and Applications and is a programming language created by Microsoft around 30 years ago. It is super powerful for automation across different Microsoft products like Excel, Outlook, Word, and so on and so on. But the great thing about VBA is that it's not only limited to Microsoft products. As long as you can reference the correct library, then you can use it for things like extracting data from PDFs and transferring it to Excel files, creating folders and saving attachments to those folders, finding string patterns through regular expressions, and so much more. I use VBA every day at my work to help myself and my colleagues automate certain tasks as much as possible. And with that said, let me give you a list of reasons why you should learn VBA as well. The first, and probably one of the biggest reasons, is that it is easily accessible to anyone who uses a Microsoft Office product. If you're using Excel, then you'll most likely have access to VBA. In fact, to start coding, all you have to do is have Excel opened, press the keyboard shortcut for Alt F11, then you'll see the VB editor pop up. With the VB editor open, you can now start typing out your own script and create your very own applications. Another way to get the VB editor opened is by enabling the developer tab. And to do that, all you have to do is go to Excel, then click on File, click on Options, then go to Customize Ribbon, and then just select and then checkmark the developer box here if it's not checkmarked already. In my case it is, so I can just click on OK, and then you'll see the developer tab pop up here with Visual Basics, Macro, Record Macro, and so on and so on. Now, you don't, this isn't just like limited to Excel. You can also do this with Outlook, Word, and PowerPoint, but Excel is the most popular options out of all of these when it comes to VBA. This ease of access means that anyone can just open up the VB editor and start coding right away. You don't have to install any additional softwares since your company will most likely come with Excel. The only reason why you wouldn't be able to use VBA is if your company disabled macros, and in that case, you would have to go through IT security to get them enabled. The second reason is that you can use VBA as a workaround for other programming languages like Python. When I first started working at my firm, I was trying to see if I could get Python installed in my work computer, but I later learned that I wasn't allowed to have Python installed due to the security issues it could cause. And one example of the security issue is that you can pip install random packages into your work computer containing malware. So if you're not allowed to use other programming languages like Python, then you can use VBA as a good alternative, assuming that your company didn't disable macros either. For number 3, you can create your own functions and automate a variety of tasks. Before Lambda became a thing, it was very common to create your own user-defined functions in VBA. If you had a formula that was composed of so many functions that would make your eyes bleed out, then you can reduce that formula into a single function that could be used in any workbook. But besides creating custom functions, the biggest thing VBA is known for is automation. I've done so many things with VBA to make the work for myself and my colleagues much easier to do. For example, we would have to create multiple Excel files to be sent out to multiple attorneys, and these Excel files have to be formatted in a certain way. So the data for these Excel files would come from PDFs, and instead of copying and pasting data from PDF to Excel or manually typing it out, I would create a macro that would allow VBA to communicate with the PDF, extract certain data from the PDF, then transfer the data from PDF to Excel and format the Excel in a certain way, then save the Excel file into like a certain folder, like a user selected folder. And the great thing is that this can work for multiple PDFs at once. So instead of spending an hour to create 10 Excel files to be sent out to attorneys, you can mass produce hundreds of them within minutes with the macro. You can also use VBA to communicate with other applications as long as you can reference the correct library within the VB editor. So let me show you an example of a VBA macro I made that can save multiple PDF files from multiple selected emails into a chosen folder. So in Outlook here, we can see that there are 5 emails here containing 5 different PDFs. And when you select these 5 emails and go to the Excel file containing the macro here, and if you click this button here, you'll be prompted to select a folder with no files to save the PDF attachments to, which in this case will be this folder here. Click OK, and the dialog box will pop up, and you can just select the folder to save the PDFs to. I'm going to double click this and then click OK. And then you get this pop-up message: the attachments have been saved. Please check this folder path for a list of attachments saved. And you can see that all the PDFs have been saved instantly into this folder. For the fourth and final reason, it can be easy to learn and understand. With the VBA editor, you can step through each line of code one by one and see what it does in real time. Let me show you a small example of what I mean. On the left side, I have this Excel file here, and the right side will be the VBA editor that contains the code to manipulate this Excel file. I've assigned 3 variables, num1, num2, and num3, to these 3 numbers here. And in this part of the code, the cells for A1, A2, and A3 will be selected, and the values for these 3 variables will be replaced in these cells. And A4 will sum up the total values from these 3 cells. So if I wanted to step through each line of code one by one, then you can simply press F8, and you can see the yellow highlighted region here, and then press F8 again. Now it's declared the variables, and it's going to assign the variables, it's going to assign the numbers to those variables. And here it's going to select A1, so pay attention to this here. And the green cursor here move to cell A1, and it's going to for the value for A1, it's going to assign it as 3 or num1, and then move to A2 and replace that with 5, A3, and the value of 2 here. Now it's going to go to A4, and it's going to sum up all the 3 numbers and put it in this cell here. And when we press F8, it's going to give us 10 here. And you can see that we were able to go through each line of code one by one to see what the VBA is doing. And this can make it very useful for finding out what's wrong with the code, if there's any issues, and understanding what's going on in general if you're using someone else's code as well. With enough practice, you can become proficient in VBA in no time. After watching this video, I hope I convinced why you should learn VBA and why it can be useful for your work. Knowing VBA can make you be seen as an Excel wizard by your colleagues who have limited proficiency in Excel. And if you found this video to be helpful, then please leave a like and let me know in the comments what else I should make in the future.